Charlie gives special pills to Roma and Ruoli, significantly boosting their internal force. Ruoli breaks through her third meridian, while Roma achieves full Ren vessel completion. Grateful for their new strength, they swear loyalty to Charlie. Roma accepts Charlie's offer of 100 million RMB and 5 pills annually for the He family's service. Learning Charlie is Chang Ying-Wade's son who rescued Leona and Ziyu, Roma agrees to cut ties with the Su family. Meanwhile, Leona and Ziyu safely reunite with Elijah. Dear viewer, enjoy the story with a cup of coffee. Thank you.
Chapter 2741. When she saw Charlie take out 2 tablets and hand them to her and her daughter, she couldn't help but ask, "Master, can we just take this medication now?" "Yes," Charlie said solemnly, "this drug is made with a special formula, it melts in the mouth and the result is released very easily, there are no toxic side effects, and you can try it right now." Despite the fact that Roma has no idea how powerful this pill is, she is certain that Charlie will not hurt her or Ruoli, so she said without hesitation, "Thank you, Master, then I will give it a try." She put the medicine in her mouth without hesitation after speaking. Ruoli didn't give it much thought until swallowing the drug. Both of them were shocked to find that after taking the pill, it melted like ice cubes in hot water and then turned into a liquid current into the body. This is both the mother's and daughter's first encounter with this sensation, so it's understandably thrilling. The pill is refined using the process described in the 9 Profound Heaven Classics, though it is not as successful as the rejuvenating pill. It differs from all other Chinese medicine pills in terms of nature at this point. Other pills are boiled in ordinary ways, and then the boiled concoction and mud are turned into wax pills, making them relatively difficult to swallow. Once swallowed into the belly, the pills would slowly digest and release the drug for a long time. Charlie's tablets, on the other hand, were different. The pill's entry transforms into a warm current that flows into body, and then one can sense an incredibly pure internal force rapidly radiating through the body's meridians. Mother and daughter have never experienced an internal force so strong and pure. They'd all been caught off balance. Roma was the first to regain consciousness. Ruoli, this internal power found in the pill is incredibly awesome, quickly direct it to run in the pubic region, and don't waste this great opportunity. She exclaimed, unable to control her inner ecstasy. Internal force can be run in the body by all martial arts practitioners who practice the inner family heart system, and they know how to move it through the body meridians and into the dantian. It's just that most martial artists' internal strength is pitiful, like gathering dew on grass leaves every morning because the amount is so minimal that every drop appears to them to be extremely important. Ruoli and Roma have always been the same, working hard every day to run a small internal force, nourishing and developing their own power a little at a time, and change has been slow. Charlie's blood-saving, heart-saving pill, on the other hand, was like a downpour in their bodies, and the surge of internal energy totally outstripped their understanding. Roma even believes that in front of Charlie's pill, his most precious form is completely different from the mud, and it isn't worth mentioning. If Charlie's pill contains a powerful heavy bomb, the chi scattered in front of it, at best, it's just a rub that even children would dare to hold in their hands and set off the weapon. Even if 1,000,000 or 10,000 pairs of Buqisan powder were combined, they couldn't compare to Charlie's pill. The most important difference between the He family's Buqisan and Charlie's pill is the medicinal properties, the medicinal effect. The essential properties of a drug are referred to as medicinal properties. Right now, I'm only using the analogy. Blood rescue pill is a military-grade heavy bomb. The Buqisan is just a regular firework. The difference is not only in the amount of energy released, but also in the fundamental nature of the explosion. Combat explosives, for example, can pierce a 1-meter thick steel plate and a 10-meter thick concrete. Fortification. Ordinary firecracker gunpowder, on the other hand, will not pierce a 1-meter thick steel plate. It's a fundamental flaw in the natural world. His Buqisan is an example of this. 1 pair per month is equivalent to a monthly extra meal of large fish and meat. It can increase nutrient intake and boost physical health to some degree, but I want to eat a masterpiece just by consuming this kind of food. It's all a bunch of nonsense visions. Charlie's blood-saving heart-saving pill, on the other hand, is a one-of-a-kind panacea. Ruoli, who was standing to the side, felt the same way. She has always been regarded as one of the Su family's most eligible offspring, so she used to get at least Sanfu Buqisan and Zentel decoction every month, but these two medicines just gave her the feeling of, it's better than nothing, and she was still far from making rapid progress. The pill provided by Charlie, on the other hand, contained a surge of internal power that not only improved the meridians immediately but also strengthened the entire body from the inside out. Furthermore, this internal force is not a scourge of wild beasts tearing through the body, but rather a meticulously nourishing force that feeds the whole body from the inside out. The pill's effectiveness has increased. It seems like every cell in the body is following this. What shocked her the most was that the third meridian she had been unable to break through, the Chong meridian in the odd meridian's 8 channels, also broke through silently at this time. This kind of breakthrough isn't quite as spectacular as thunder on the horizon, but it's just as smooth and normal as piercing a sheet of window paper. Furthermore, the main vessel, which had been opened, was on the verge of breaking through 40% to 50%. You should know that in the He family for many years, only one male, Ruoli's grandfather, has opened up the 3 levels of meridians. Despite the fact that Luther has opened up the 3 meridians, they are not as smooth as Ruoli's. Ruoli's power unexpectedly became the top one of the He family, at least doubled on the previous basis, with only Charlie's pill. How could she not be ecstatic about such a fantastic opportunity? Her mother, Roma, benefited greatly as well. Her 8 odd meridian channels are similar to Ruoli's. They only open up Ren and Du's second channel. The Ren channel is 50% complete, while the Du channel is 20% complete. However, the strong medicinal effect of this pill caused her Ren vessel to succeed immediately, and the main vessel also broke through to 40%. Her present strength is comparable to Ruoli's before she began taking the drug. Be mindful that Ruoli's meridians have been sparsely passed through by Charlie with aura prior to taking the drug. Renmai Dacheng not only raised her cultivation level significantly, but she also laid a stronger foundation for future cultivation. A sturdier base. Roma now has the same solid base. Thank you. Master bestowed such a precious pill to me and my daughter. Your great kindness is unforgettable for me. Roma knelt on her knees again, reverently and with great gratitude, and said, "Thank you. Master bestowed such a precious pill to me and my daughter. Your great kindness is unforgettable for me. Master, thank you for your pill. This pill must be very expensive, right?" Ruoli said excitedly as she knelt on the ground subconsciously. "Of course it's expensive," Charlie said flatly. "This kind of medication has a price but no market, no one has it except me. If Ruoli, I believe you used the medication to get through the pulse just now, and your power has almost doubled, it's gratifying," Charlie said. When Roma heard this, she was taken aback and exclaimed, "Ruoli, you have broken through the pulse." "Yeah," said Ruoli, her eyes red, "Mom, my pulse has been opened up. Since your grandfather opened Chongmai 40 years ago, there has been no second person who can open Chongmai for 40 years. Today you finally did get through," said Roma, who was in tears and in awe. Ruoli couldn't take her gaze away from Charlie. No one could compare to the picture of Charlie in her mind at the time. She couldn't understand why Charlie possessed such incredible strength and abilities. He only gave her a pulse for the first time, but she didn't expect to be able to support her get through the whole pulse. He gave her a pill this time, but she didn't expect it to help her get through the 3rd meridian. For average citizens, these 2 historic breakthroughs are once-in-a-lifetime occurrences. Many people have spent their entire lives cultivating and learning, but they have yet to fully open the Ren vessel. More people tried their hardest to learn martial arts, but they were unable to complete the 3 meridians. However, in a very short period of time, she was presented with 2 excellent opportunities, one after the other. Furthermore, Charlie's assistance was instrumental in achieving the 2 major breakthroughs in a flash. It also means that Charlie will achieve a significant breakthrough for a martial artist of his caliber while conversing and laughing. From this perspective, Charlie's power may be 100 or 1,000 times greater than his. Roma was ecstatic. She was inundated with surprises today. Her daughter is still alive, and she has made significant progress in her cultivation. Is it not possible to get any more thrilling than this? In addition, she was struck by her daughter's light, and in one leap, she fully opened up the Ren vessel, doubling her power. It was clearly a divinely appointed opportunity. This young man in his 20s was the one who provided her with this series of surprises and opportunities. Master, the whole He family, would like to see you as the head of our horse. All will follow your dispatch, she said earnestly to Charlie. I am even now when I am hiring people, Charlie said indifferently, and if the He family is able to cooperate with me in all ways, then I will provide the He family with 5 medicinal pills per year for an additional 100 million yuan. When Roma heard the words, 5 pills, she was overjoyed. She thinks about her family, so she instantly thought, if 1 pill can double a person's ability, why can't the family develop at least 5 first-line masters, or train 2? A Super League top-ranking expert. If these remarkable talents continue to receive the pill in the 2nd year, their power will undoubtedly grow rapidly. If Ruoli can get an elixir from it every year in the future, she may be able to get through the 4th meridian after 4 or 5 years, and her power will grow again. You must understand that the entire He family has hundreds of years of martial arts history, and there is only one master who can get through the 4 meridians. If Ruoli takes Master Wade's pill, she is very likely to become the He family's hundreds of years of martial arts history second person. Give the He family 10 years, Ruoli will be able to open up 5 meridians, and there may be some more masters in the He family who can open 3 or even 4 meridians. In that case, the He family's power will be greatly enhanced, and it may even become the country's #1 martial arts family. 10 years may seem like a long time, but it is a blink of an eye in the He family's long history of hundreds of years. In reality, Charlie doesn't think this type of blood-saving, the heart-saving pill is worth mentioning. It's just a matter of hooking your thumbs. Whether you owe the He family $50 or $100 a year. However, he wants to restrict the number to 5 per year in order to impress upon the He family the importance of this item. Charlie also understands that, in terms of the blood-saving pill's usefulness for martial arts practitioners, giving 2 pills a year is enough to make the whole He family work for him. The He family deserves 5 stars because it will enable them to concentrate on training 3 or 5 talented warriors in a systematic manner each year. Roma was well aware of the importance of this pill and recognized that it represented a significant growth opportunity for the He family. She didn't have time to ask her father for instructions, so she decided on behalf of the entire He family. She was certain that her father would not say no. He and his family could not refuse. From now on, at the end of the 12th lunar month of the lunar calendar, I will make a year-end evaluation based on the performance of the He family in 1 year. I would naturally offer ease a few extra pills at the end of the year if the family is really committed to do its best and work hard for me. Roma's heart swelled with joy as she learned of this. Then I'd like to thank Master for the more than 100 people from the He family. She said without hesitation. Master, in your view, is it appropriate for the He family to move from Mocheng to Aurous Hill? Roma asked again. The movement of the family is too much, it is needless, Charlie said after a moment's thinking. You should talk to the patriarch of the He family first after your return. Tell him first if he has no objections. 10 generations of the He family's strongest descendants will travel to Aurous Hill. Ms. He will be in charge of these 10. I'll find you a suitable house to settle down in Aurous Hill ahead of time. As for Ruoli, she will stay with me for the time being, Charlie said, looking at Ruoli. No problem, Roma hurriedly replied. I'll return to Mocheng the next day and tell my father about the situation. I am certain that my father will not object, and I will obey Master's instructions for the rest. If you do anything, obey Master's orders, said Ruoli, bowing after her mother. Ms. He, these 2 tablets, please take them back and give them a tasting, lest you have nothing to say. Charlie said as he nodded and pulled out 2 more blood-dissipating heart-saving pills. He isn't a fair judge. Master, 1 should be enough. Roma said, a little pleased but also a little nervous. One of the 2 pills can be tried by your father, and the other can be divided into several parts, placed in water, and tried by the younger generation of the He family, Charlie said with a smile. It is, in reality, beneficial to the younger generation. People do not take more than 1 at a time because at least 30–40% of the medicinal power is not absorbed by the body at once, resulting in waste. All of the therapeutic effects can be best used with this step-by-step approach. Oh, I knew I wouldn't take the whole pill. Roma said abruptly, regretfully. It won't matter, Charlie said with a smile, there will be opportunities in the future. You take these 2 pills first, then the remaining 3 pills, Charlie said again. When you confirm and the individual arrives in Aurous Hill, I will give you all at once. Master, you have just sent us 4 in a row, Roma exclaimed, surprised. There should be 1 left based on 5 in a year. The 2 previously given to you in Ruoli are not counted. Charlie said calmly. That's a little gesture of concern for you mother and daughter. In the future, I will give you 2 extras per year. These 2 are unrelated to the He family. Roma became anxious and unsure of what to say, so she shouted, shocked and delighted, this is too costly, how can we? I and Ruoli are both destined, not to mention the long-term cooperation in the future, Charlie said with a wave of his hand. Miss he doesn't have to think about it anymore because a small pill isn't important. You mother and daughter have finally met again, Charlie continued, there must be a lot to say, I won't bother you too much. Roma saw that Charlie had already agreed to end the discussion and realized she didn't have to worry any longer, so she said politely, please follow master's arrangements. Young master, then I will take my mother back to my home, Ruoli said from the side, taking a step forward and bowing. Please let us know if you have anything to do with us. Go ahead, contact the staff directly if you have any needs, Charlie said with a nod. Thanking Charlie the mother and daughter, Roma and Ruoli were able to return to their hotel room. Roma couldn't stop crying as soon as she walked into the room. Mom, why are you crying again? Ruoli rushed forward and questioned. I am so relieved. Roma sighed as she brushed away her tears. Mom has uncontrollably considered countless possibilities since your crash, both good and bad. But still, it's the best possible I've ever considered, and it's less than 1/10 of what it is now. Mom had not expected your life to take such a dramatic turn. Mom, I'm sorry, this time has made you worry. Ruoli said, her eyes red. With today's situation, Mom's previous worries are all worth it. Roma grinned, relieved. By the way, Ruoli, what is the origin of that master? She inquired, curiously. She can't believe she has ever heard of such a strong Wade family Jr. Can you tell me his name? Master's name is Charlie Wade, Ruoli hurriedly said. I have an impression of this generation of men from the Wade family, there appears to be no one called Charlie, said Roma, frowning. Mom, do you know Changying Wade? Ruoli inquired. Changying Wade, exclaims the narrator. Of course I know, Roma exclaimed, that was the Wade family back then, one of the most illustrious in the world, your father. Roma inadvertently mentioned Zinn, but she was afraid that her daughter would be upset if she talked about what the Su family had done, so she quickly said, I don't want to talk about your father. Why, did you suddenly bring up Wade Changying? Many years ago, he died suddenly. Mom, Master Wade is Changying's son, Ruoli said quickly. He moved to Aurous Hill with his parents when he was 8 years old. His parents died suddenly not long after. Master Wade hasn't stopped since then. He's been in the orphanage since he was a child. He has not, in truth, returned to the Wade family. Despite the fact that his surname is Wade, he now runs his own business. I didn't expect him to turn out to be Wade Changying's son, muttered Roma, all surprised. Roma can't help but think of Zinn when she thinks of Changying. She has known Zinn since she was a child, so she is very familiar with his youth. She is aware of how good Changying was at the time, as well as the fact that Zinn has always existed in the shadow of him. She was struck by a sense of irony. Zinn was crushed by Changying in every way at the time, but he was not convinced in his heart. He didn't finally breathe a sigh of relief until Changying's death. Who would have guessed that Changying's son has progressed to such a high level? Despite the fact that Roma saw Charlie for the first time today, he was able to quietly rescue her daughter from the Japanese self-defense forces, and he continued to hide her from the sky so that no one would notice. Charlie's strength was far from ordinary, if not frightening, as revealed by her daughter's knowledge. Ruoli's life may have been saved, but he also caused the Japanese self-defense force to lose face in front of him. The leopard can be seen in the tube. This incident alone demonstrates Charlie's extraordinary abilities. What surprised her, even more, was Charlie's ability to easily transport her daughter's Ren vessel to the realm of Dacheng. In the eyes of martial artists, this is nothing short of a miracle. It is an understatement to conclude that it is a miracle. After all, martial arts training is frequently the best effort for the majority of your life. Even a great master has no exception when it comes to martial arts instruction. Every martial artist aspires to be the ultimate dacheng, but no one knows what that entails. In their lifespan, they can only do their best. If they try their hardest but still don't achieve great success, they should allow their children and grandchildren to pursue great success on their own terms. He is gone, and he has descendants, and there are countless descendants, much like her forefather who made considerable strides. What exactly did Charlie's conduct imply? To use an apt example, Charlie removed all the massive earth boulders that grandfather should have dug at least 20 years before his fingers. This type of skill is referred to as supernatural strength. There's also Charlie's pill, which is so magical it's impossible to put into sentences. Even if the world's martial arts family is bankrupt, Roma believes that if this kind of magical medicine is sold, they will compete desperately. How about $1 billion? How about $2 billion? Even if $1 billion is used, relying solely on cultivation and the help of certain medicinal materials may not be enough to achieve the effect of this pill. Nothing is more important than enhancing one's cultivation level for those who practice martial arts. As a result of these factors, Roma assumes that Charlie will most likely make moves on the Su and Wade families and even the country's top families on his own in the future. She remembered that her daughter seemed to have a clear sense of allegiance to Charlie, and that behind that allegiance was an obvious girl's mind, so she asked Ruoli. Ruoli, tell your mother the truth, do you feel that way towards Master Wade? Mom, what are you talking about? Ruoli asked, a little embarrassed. Master is not only my lifesaver, but also my mentor. My cultivation level is all thanks to successive breakthroughs, so I love and appreciate him in my heart. You were born from me, can Mom still not understand you? Roma asked, smiling slightly. You look at his eyes in a way, I have never seen it in your eyes, and I feel your true love for him. I don't. Ruoli retorted flusteredly, then paused for a moment before sighing slightly. Hey, really, I have to say something to my core. A man like Master really understands him. After that, how many women can be indifferent to him? Not only me, but even Sister Jiu has been enamored of him for a long time. What? Jiu? She likes Master Wade too? Exclaimed Roma. I think Sister Jiu likes Master, she almost likes the devil, Ruoli said with a wry smile. Didn't Jiu disappear with Leona? Have you seen her? Roma hurriedly inquired. Sister Jiu and Aunt Leona also live in this hotel, Ruoli said solemnly. What did you say? Roma became agitated and exclaimed, the mother and daughter live here too. Then they know I'm here. Leona has always had a special place in Roma's heart. After all, she had that kind of relationship with her husband when she was pregnant, and then she gave birth to Ruoli. She was interested in other people's relationships no matter what, including when she was pregnant. The third partner in the other party's marriage. As a result, she was terrified of seeing Leona again. It's unlikely for the two of them to discover you're here, Ruoli said at the time. Master kept them here, after he rescued them. He didn't let them leave the room because he didn't want the news to get out. I was also here. After spending so many days in this hotel, it wasn't until this morning that Master's men summoned them, and I noticed that the mother and daughter were also here. Roma was even more surprised, her mouth gaping open from ear to ear. You said Master even rescued the mother and daughter. Of course, says the voice. They would have both been killed by Chungfeng if it hadn't been for Master's intervention. Ruoli nodded. Why is Master Wade taking you to see them? Roma asked, thoughtfully nodding. This. Ruoli paused for a moment. She was unsure about telling her mother about her father, Zinn. She is also concerned that her mother will be upset. Don't say it, but she is worried about her mom. Ruoli, is there anything you want to say to mother? Roma asked hurriedly when she noticed Ruoli was reluctant to answer. Mom, I'm telling you something, don't be anxious to get upset, Ruoli said after a brief pause. Let's talk about it, Roma hurriedly said. Mom is not in a rush or getting mad, so you can stand in front of me without getting angry, even if the sky falls. Dad was also caught by Master, Ruoli said. What are you talking about? Roma was speechless in shock, opened her mouth and eyes wide, and stared at Ruoli for a long time before summoning the courage to ask, could it be that Master Wade? Is your father dead? That's not the case, Ruoli said, shaking her head. Dad is still alive. When she heard this, Roma exhaled a sigh of relief. Zinn holds a special place in her heart. After all, the best years of her life had been almost entirely dedicated to Zinn, and she had even dedicated her body to him. Despite the fact that they haven't seen each other in years, the feeling in her heart remains constant. What she feared the most when she learned that Zinn had fallen into Charlie's hands was that Charlie would kill Zinn on the spot. After all, Zinn was easy to kill with Charlie's strength. She let go of her dangling heart when she learned that Zinn was still alive. Hey, anyway, it's fine to be alive, she sighed softly afterward. Is your father also arranged to live here? She inquired while speaking. No, Ruoli admitted, blushing. Master sent him away. Where did he go? Roma inquired hurriedly. Ruoli's mouth was pursed and she said one word, Syria. Roma was taken aback as soon as Ruoli finished speaking. She considered Charlie's 10,000 choices for dealing with Zinn, but she never imagined him sending Zinn to Syria. Mom, you must not have any idea of saving father. Master Wade has a feud with the Su family, we have the favor of Master at this time, and we can't say something. Grace will revenge. Su Ruoli hurriedly reminded. No, I won't be in the murky waters of the Su family again, Roma said, shaking her head. Moreover, the Wade family not only has a feud with the Su family, but your father had also come forward to mobilize an alliance against Master's father. Master Wade left your father with a way to live, which is already a preferential treatment. If you quit, you must draw a straight line with the Su family in the future, and you must not make the same mistakes, Roma said again. Mom, don't worry, I've already broken up with the Su family. Not only that, the Su family's hate for me will never be forgotten for the rest of my life. In the future, if Master requires it, I'll certainly stand alongside him and be the Su family's enemy. Since the accident happened to you, the He family has drawn a clear line from the Su family, and from now on, the He family will serve young Master wholeheartedly. The enemy of young Master will naturally be the enemy of the He family, so if Master Wade and the Su family have torn their faces apart, the entire He family will stand firmly beside Master Wade, Roma said with emotion. Mom, Grandpa would surely agree to cooperate with Master Wade, right? Su Ruoli asked hurriedly. Of course, Roma said confidently. Working with Master Wade is without a doubt the most exciting opportunity for our He family, so your grandfather is impossible to decline. I'll go straight to Mocheng tomorrow and report the situation to your grandpa, Roma said again. Based on what I know about him, he won't hesitate. That's fine, Su Ruoli said coquettishly after calming down. Mom, after you've spoken to Grandpa and Grandpa agrees, you can easily pick 10 family members and bring them over, and you'll be able to accompany me more. Stay with me. Don't worry, Roma said with a caring smile. Mom will be back as soon as possible. When Charlie realized it was getting close to evening, he summoned Isik and told him, Mr. Isik, arrange for someone to prepare a car, prepare a cell phone that can't find any clues, and go to Ziyu's room and invite her and Aunt Leona over. Master, are you going to let them go? Isik inquired hurriedly. I told them, I'll give them freedom later today and let them go, Charlie said, nodding. And you'll let them drive to the suburbs and give them the phone, and you don't have to think about it. Master, I'm not sure if I should say anything inappropriate, Isik said after a brief pause. You say it, he replied. Master, Zinn just vanished today, and the Su family is now searching for him everywhere. If Jiu and his wife are released now, the Su family will immediately connect them with Zinn's disappearance, and they will do all they can to get Zinn's message from the daughter and mother's mouths, so I think, it'd best not let them go, at least stagger for a few days. Even if I let them go a few days later, the outcome would be the same, Charlie said, waving his hand. The news of their incidents was raging, and people all over the world were paying attention, and the car crash was so massive that average people could not survive the way these two did, so once they returned to the public's view alive, everybody would immediately assume that the person who saved them was really special, Charlie explained. As for the Su family, they have now realized that there is an enemy with exceptional strength in this city, and they have begun to send people to try to find my clues, even if it is too late, Charlie continued after a brief pause. The Su family will still equate the people who rescued them with the people who bound Shout and Zinn if time is given for their women to leave. Master, what if Miss Su and Ms. Leona reveal your identity? Isik hesitated for a moment before asking. I believe they will not, Charlie said with a chuckle, but nothing is completely certain. I'd like to spend more time with the Su family, but it doesn't matter if they really do leak me out. What possessions does the Su family possess? Whatever you do, the dog farm is on the verge of expanding. All we have is a place. Furthermore, the Syrian side's mountainous zone is sparsely inhabited. It is the same when Chungfeng old dog, he will be sent to assist Hamid in herding sheep. It's not terrible. Isik was pleased to see that Charlie was unconcerned about the Su family following his life. He also claims that the Su family is not Charlie's enemy, and that as long as Charlie is not concerned about being revealed, he would not be concerned about being a subordinate. Jiu and Leona, mother and daughter, were invited over shortly after. Auntie and Miss Su, it's almost evening, Charlie said when he saw them. I've already requested that the car be prepared. You should get ready to leave if you don't have any other issues. Grace, can I have a chance to speak with you in the future? Jiu questioned, her face sad. Of course, don't forget the agreement between the two of us, Charlie said with a smile. I will personally come to the Su family to wish you when you become the patriarch. Grace, what if the Su family is going to be your enemy? Jiu couldn't help but wonder. Can you still regard me as a foe? As long as you don't do anything against me, I won't regard you as my enemy. Charlie said seriously, shaking his head. I don't have a grudge against anyone with the surname Su. It's just those who were at odds with my father at the time. Jiu exhaled a sigh of relief and said, I am relieved by my benefactor's terms. Auntie, you are my father's friend, Charlie said seriously as he grinned softly and looked at Leona again. You can come to me at any time if someone in the Su family isn't getting along with you. Charlie, if there is any support from Auntie or Du's family in the future, you must tell Auntie, Leona said gratefully. Okay Auntie, we have the contact details for each other, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions, Charlie said with a nod. By the way, Charlie, after Auntie and Jiu return, how should we react if anyone asks about our experience during this period? Leona hummed. If anyone asks about your experience during this period, you'll say you were seriously injured in a car accident and have been admitted to the ward to recover, Charlie said. You have no idea where the ward is or which hospital it belongs to, or even the world outside the ward. You say that doctors and nurses wear masks and you are unable to disclose their identities if anyone asks who the doctor is, who the nurse is, and what they look like. If anyone asks why the doctor was treating you, you say it's because they all were entrusted by a mysterious person. Then you might tell that this mysterious person isn't as bad as Chungfeng beasts if anyone asks why this mysterious person does this. The atmosphere darkens as the evening progresses. On the Aurous Hill Ring Expressway, a Rolls-Royce Cullinan is speeding. One of Isaac's men was behind the wheel. Isaac took a seat in the co-seat of the driver. Leona and Jiu, mother and daughter, were in the back row. The co-pilot, Isaac, looked at the navigation chart and said to the two of them, please wait for a moment. We're just a few minutes away from our final destination. You can call your family when you arrive at the place. Leona and Jiu were giddy and uncontrollable. They are most concerned that their family members are unnecessarily concerned because it has been too long since the crash, and they can't wait to let them know that they are still alive. The two did not say anything because Isaac had said something and they had to wait for 10 minutes. They've been waiting for days, and the last 10 minutes have been pretty sweet. Leona's father, Elijah, was holding a family meeting with his sons and daughters in the old house of Du's in Aurous Hill at the time. They've been looking for Leona and Ziu's whereabouts since they rushed over from Eastcliff in recent days. They used all of the tools available to them, much like the Su family, but they were unable to discover any details about the mother and daughter. Elijah was at a loss for words at the time. He frowned as he looked at his sons and daughters and asked. So, how about Jufei? Why hasn't he turned up for the meeting he said he was going to come? Tonight, Renal, the eldest son, said, Dad, Jufei just sent me a WeChat message saying he's deciding what concert-related matters with this year's performance venues are, and that he won't be back for a while. Let's get started. Mischief! Exclaims the speaker. Elijah expressed his frustration by saying, I know this kid is normally sensible, so why isn't he being straightforward now? What could be more serious than his mother and sister's lives? What's more important? Renal, powerless, said, I know this child hasn't been spending much time dealing with the matter of Leona and Jiu these days, but he must still be occupied with other things. His family is nowhere to be found and he is putting everything out of your mind. Yes, Dad, I know this child must know it in his heart, said the second son, Simon, but he has not found any clues for so long, and he must be a little discouraged in his heart, so don't worry about it. I still feel like this kid is a little absent-minded lately, Elijah said, a little glumly. I'm afraid that he, like the rest of the Sue family, is oblivious to family affection. Dad, let's talk about business first, Haya, Elijah's eldest daughter, said at the time. I'll go have a nice chat with him if I have time. This is the kid we've been watching grow up. Yeah, despite the fact that his surname is Sue, he is not the same as his fathers or grandfathers. With a sigh and a wave of his hand, Elijah said, let's not talk about him, please. Write down a summary of your current situation. If you have any suggestions. All shook their heads helplessly as they heard this. Elijah had a gloomy feeling. What are you talking about? There aren't any signs at all. No, says the speakers. Reynolds said solemnly, I've started all of the possible relationships, and I've found a lot of private investigators and security department informants, but I haven't found anything about them. Clues that are related, all broken and missing. Are the investigators and informants not being patient enough to look for clues? Elijah hurriedly inquired. Reynolds, powerless, grinned and said, by the way, when looking for clues, they've discovered 7 or 8 foreign spies. This search has reached unparalleled levels of strength, but no findings have yet been uncovered. There are a lot of valuable hints here. Elijah sighed and said, hello there. This is really the pits. The two of them were able to vanish from the scene of such a large car crash in the tunnel without leaving any useful clues. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Haya rushed to say, it's incredible, Dad. The further it shows that there is room for reversal in this case, the better. Otherwise, to say nothing else, the impact of the car crash at the time would have been unbelievable if it hadn't been for the fact that Leona and Jiu, as well as the others, were already dead. Elijah said with a nod, this is also plausible, but we haven't been able to uncover any relevant evidence. I'm really worried. According to Reynolds, I've already resolved the situation with you, Father. At noon tomorrow, I'll be able to temporarily access the Academy of Sciences supercomputer and use the face recognition technology to search all surveillance videos within a 300-kilometer radius of Aurous Hill. Compare Leona's and Ziu's facial features to see whether we can spot any similarities. When Elijah learned of this, he became enraged and exclaimed, why didn't you use it earlier, you man, there's such a good way. I'll be able to figure it out now that face recognition is so advanced. As long as Leona and Jiu have left photos before being monitored, we'll be able to figure it out. Dad, the Academy of Sciences supercomputers typically have a lot of jobs. Ranging from cloud image analysis for weather forecasts to orbit calculations for Mars exploration, Reynolds said helplessly. Almost all uses involve utilizing these supercomputers. In the last few months, one of their supercomputers has been running at maximum capacity. Despite the fact that I have certain rights, I am unable to postpone big national events. Elijah couldn't help but agree when he heard this. National affairs are important, let us not use power for personal gain. Reynolds rushed to say, don't worry, Dad, their supercomputer will be able to move one of them out at noon tomorrow. There would be a 6-hour window, so I arranged with them and spend those 6 hours. During the empty window time, all of Aurous Hill's surveillance videos will be calculated. However, the amount of data is enormous, and the supercomputer's computing power is equally impressive. I asked the experts there, and they estimated that it would take about 4 hours to run all of the results. Their follow-up work will not be hampered. This is good, this is good. Elijah exhaled a sigh of relief. Son, after this incident, you must donate a sum of money to the Academy of Sciences, which is regarded as a payment to the Institute, he said after finishing his speech to his second son, Simon, who had been doing business. Simon said unequivocally, don't worry, Dad, if they can locate Leona and Jiu using supercomputer calculations, I'll donate $1 million. If they can't find it, I'll donate $5 million as well. Just as the Du family was pinning their hopes on the supercomputer, tragedy struck. The car was speeding through Aurous Hill's outskirts when it came to a halt at a sparsely populated intersection in the suburbs. Ms. Du, you should call your relatives, Isaac said afterward, handing Leona a cell phone. She counted and nodded before picking up the phone and dialing a number. This is the mobile phone of Elijah, the Du family's patriarch. Elijah had gathered his children for a meeting. He wasn't expecting the phone to unexpectedly ring. He was irritated even more when he realized it was an unknown number, so he pressed for a response and asked in a threatening tone, "Who is it, exactly? What exactly is the problem?" "Dad, me. It's Leona," said Leona on the other end of the line, and suddenly chalked up. "What, Leona?" The elderly Elijah heard Leona's voice, and the whole person was almost as if struck by lightning. He heard his daughter's voice, but he couldn't believe it was really her. So at this moment, he felt that his heart suddenly doubled, and the violent beating made the entire chest aching. While clutching his chest, he subconsciously confirmed, Are you really Leona?" When these words came out, the surrounding two children were also shocked. Rennell blurted out and asked, "Dad, is it really Leona?" Simon hurriedly said, "Dad, turn on the speaker." Elijah hurriedly turned on the speaker of the phone and heard the phone on the other end. Leona choked and said, "Dad, it's really me, I'm still alive, and Jiu is still alive, right by my side." Jiu also said cryingly, "Grandpa. It's me. I'm Jiu." The entire Du family suddenly boiled. Elijah stood up suddenly and blurted out and asked, "Where are you now, my girls?" Leona said hurriedly, "We are on the outskirts of Aurous Hill." "Dad, there are no people here. I will have to trouble you to arrange someone to pick us up." Elijah said excitedly, "Hurry up and tell me your specific location, and I will come there with your brother." Leona said, "I will use this phone to add your WeChat and send you the address." Elijah blurted out, "Give me an approximate direction first. Which direction are you in Aurous Hill? I'll move there first." Leona hurriedly looked at Isaac. Isaac spoke about the north side silently, so Leona hurriedly said, "Dad, I'm in the north of Aurous Hill." "Okay." Elijah was excited and hurriedly said, "You can send me the address on WeChat now, and I will go out right now." After hanging up the phone, Elijah excitedly said to Rennell and Simon, "Rennell, Simon, get ready with the car, and you two will pick them up with me." Haya hurriedly said, "Dad, I will go too." Elijah waved his hand, "Haya, don't come with us. Arrange the chef, doctor, and aunt at home. Keep them ready. Let the chef prepare meals, ask the doctor to get ready for physical examination, and tell the aunt to clean up the bedroom." As he said, he sighed distressingly, "I don't know in what condition my girls are currently, and whether they have suffered." Haya nodded repeatedly and said, "Okay Dad, then I will make arrangements." Elijah gave a hum, took the two sons, and hurried out. On the other side, Leona also sent the specific location to her father. Rennell drove a 7-seater commercial vehicle from home and drove his father and younger brother hurriedly towards the northern suburbs. On the way, Simon, who was sitting in the co-pilot, couldn't help but look back at Elijah who was sitting in the back row, and said, "Dad, where did Leona and Jiu go during this time? I think this positioning is not too far from us. It's about 20 or 30 kilometers, but during this period of time, I searched the Aurous Hill upside down, and didn't find any relevant clues at all." Elijah hurriedly asked, "Have you looked for the location near Leona?" "I've found it." Simon blurted out, "We basically searched the entire administrative area of Aurous Hill." Elijah said, "From my point of view, the car accident was so dynamic at the time. Leona and Ziu's disappearance shows that they must have been rescued by others. It is likely that they have been hidden by the other party during this period, and they have just recovered. Maybe given freedom." Rennell, who was driving, sighed, "To be honest, I really want to know the person who rescued them. This person's strength and background are absolutely extraordinary. I don't know which family he belongs to." Elijah nodded and said, "The specific situation will be known only after meeting them." Half an hour later, Rennell drove to the location set by Leona. At this time, on this country road, no one was seen at all, and there was no car. In fact, just 10 minutes ago, Isaac asked his men to drive the car to the next village, while he stayed in the dark to ensure the safety of Leona and Jiu. After they were gone he waited for the Du family to come up and take the ladies away.